Staff meeting is upstairs in the middle school room.
Wow.
Staff meeting is upstairs. Upstairs.
You did the bridge once, but it's supposed to happen twice. Yeah, you went to the tag before doing the bridge twice.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
I
sense.
was trying to do it, but then I got a little thrown off.
That makes sense. Sorry, I wasn't really.
I was like, wait, we're doing it wrong.
I can't hear you. Can you hear yourself? You can?
hear.
Okay. Is
can
Kingsley's voice in channel 1?
Let me check. Can you talk, Kingsley? Can you talk, King?
Testing. 1, 2. 1,
Yes,
2,
he's
3.
number 1.
I can hear you.
Number 1. Hello.
Yes, you're number
Testing.
1.
1, 2.
You're number 1.
Hello. Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Is it panned or anything?
Not that I know of. Is it coming in quiet or something?
Awesome. Are you guys excited to worship together, to be together tonight? The song might be new to some of you.
Then you can't. Every desire is not. Oh, there's nothing.
Dead things, which includes all the stuff in our lives that we feel like is dead, and makes them into something beautiful. And we hope that you experience that. This is my friend. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Josh Whiteford.
This is Josh Whiteford, everybody. Fantastic. The one, the only Josh Whiteford. He is a CrossPoint student, one of you guys, and he's helping me out with a few pieces of information today. And one of them is, if this is your very first time with us, man, we're so pumped. But what do they need to do if this is their first time at CrossPoint students, Josh?
Well, if you haven't already, after the service, you can go and stop by the Welcome Center to get everything set and know where you need to go.
Awesome, awesome. And so if you stop by the Welcome Center, it was awesome. And there was a ton of fun things we got to do last week. And if you missed it, man, that's a bummer. But camp is on its way, so you cannot miss out on that. But I had a lot of fun, and I have a lot of moments from last week that I thought were good. But Josh, what was your favorite moment from Vertigo Remix last week?
I mean, there were so many great moments, it's hard to choose.
It was a good night, for sure. But if you had to pick one, what do you think it would be, Josh?
I think it would be the worship.
The worship. Who here enjoyed our worship time last week? Yes. We got to go kind of nuts last week, and that is a ton of fun. The cool thing is, you might have an idea in your mind of like what it is, what church is, or who Jesus is, and we kind of get this picture of like, you got to calm down, you got to like hold it all in, you got to like present yourself in a certain way. But the cool thing about Jesus is he meets us right where we're at. In fact, he calls us into passion, and we get to do that through all kinds of ways, including worship, and we did that last week. It was awesome. We had a fun time, and the cool thing is, we can do that every week as we sing together, which is great. We get to do that here on Wednesday nights at CrossPoint students, but there are also opportunities for you guys to continue to grow and worship together, not just on Wednesday nights, but on Sunday mornings as well, as a whole church with the adults in our church as well. And this weekend is an awesome opportunity for you if you've never checked out a Sunday morning before, or maybe your family's not super into church. This is a great Sunday to maybe introduce them, because this Sunday is Easter. And so we have two things that we wanted to mention to you guys that you can be a part of this weekend for Easter. The first is we're doing a Good Friday service on Friday, as the name would lend you to believe. And Good Friday is a time that we kind of set aside to remember the death of Jesus, his death on a cross. That's a very significant part, huge part of our following him. And so we want to take time to remember that, recognize it. And so that's going to be happening on April 2nd. There's a service at 5:30 and 7 p.m. Here's the deal, though. If you go home, tell your parents, hey, we should go to this Good Friday service thing. You do have to register online. It's free, but you do have to register to come be a part of that. But if you can't make Good Friday, you could come on Sunday to our Easter service. And so what's happening and what times are Easter services on Sunday, Josh?
So our Easter service is on April 4th at both 9 and 10:45 a.m.
And you do not have to register for that one. You can just roll in. We got the space. We're going to be in the building across the street. And so if you and your family want to come and celebrate Easter together, man, we'd love to see you. Awesome. So that's all the information that we have for you guys for tonight. We're looking forward to an awesome evening. Would you give a big round of applause to my friend, Josh Whiteford? I'm actually going to take this microphone, Josh. Thank you so much for helping me out, man. And it's always good to get to hang out, hear from different people. And one of the things that we like to do around here is have that kind of relationship with lots of different people. And there's lots of ways we can do that. One of the ways we've been doing that during COVID era is through a little moment, a little time, a little talk show that you might be aware of called the 5-Minute Connect Show. So can I get my co-host for the 5-Minute Connect Show up here? Paul Conway, everybody. Paul Conway, welcome.
Oh.
And Paul, if these guys are here and they're like, I don't know what the 5-Minute Connect show is, tell them, what is the 5-Minute Connect show?
Well, the 5-Minute Connect show is our little time where we as a family get to listen to various people here at CrossPoint students. And what better way to do that than in a late night talk show format? Isn't that right, Kyle?
Sounds good to me. I got the ugly suit jacket for it. Yep. Let's go.
What better way to host than with two guys in suit jackets?
It seems like that's what they all do.
And one of them is pulling it off just a little bit more than the other. But I won't say which is which.
I mean, they could say.
They could decide, and you know what? You can hold that in your hearts. But as we get kind of our stage set up, we got some chairs in the back.
Here, we'll just grab these.
Yeah, we'll
two.
just grab some
that?
chairs.
All right.
But you know, at the top of every late night talk show, the host goes into a little bit of a monologue. And the last few times I've done this, I've bamboozled you a little bit because I have told a story that ends in a lame punchline, and every time you guys get mad at me. So I decided I don't want you to get mad at me. I'm not going to do that. So this story is 100% truthful and does not end in a lame punchline. Do you guys trust me?
No.
All right. If you may not have known this, but I used to work here when I was in high school. I was a janitor, and I worked here with my good friend Nate G. Where's Nate G at? Everybody say, hi, Nate G, right there. We used to be janitors here together, and it was such a fun time because we got to mess around all the time. We got to get into all the hidden areas of this church that you're not allowed to get into. My favorite area that we would just like mess around in was like the boiler rooms that are like behind the buildings.
Is that where you boil people?
No,
okay.
Kyle, don't be silly.
Okay.
That's where like the AC units are and like the heater and everything.
Got
And it's
you,
all
got
the
you.
internal stuff. But I remember these buildings are a little old. This one's a little newer, but the ones over there are a little old. And it was like prone to like bad piping and like a bad setup. And I remember there's this big old lever that had a red handle. And if you pulled it, normally it would like make the heat like do stuff, but it was so old that it would cause a gas leak, right? And so it was like, don't pull the lever, right? Are you tracking with me?
I don't believe you at all. This isn't going to
Well,
end in
Nate
a
can
dumb
attest to this.
punchline.
Nate was there, right, Nate? All right, so there was one time we were messing around, and I tried to do like a parkour thing, and I tripped, and I was like starting to fall, and I was like, ooh, you know how you can kind of tell where you're gonna fall? And I was like, I can either like pull the lever and cause a gas leak, or I can fall on my friend Nate G. And so I thought to myself, well, better Nate than lever, and so I fell on Nate. So we've got a wonderful
This is so
show
dumb.
for us here tonight.
You
and
promised. They'll never trust you again. They'll never trust you
No, that was
again.
a real story that
Oh my
happened.
goodness,
And
so
you're
dumb.
welcome. I almost caused a gas
So
leak.
dumb.
So you're welcome. We have a wonderful show tonight. Let's get our first guest on here.
Let's do it. I'd love to hear from them.
I talked to you beforehand. If I could get Lucas Caligari here all the way in the back for our
Lucas,
first.
give him a big round of applause.
And
Come
the
on
way
up
this
here, man.
works, thank you. Yeah, come on up here, Lucas. The way this works is, Lucas, you get to join us on stage. On the screen, we will throw up a prompt, and we get to hear your answer on the prompt. So let's see what your prompt is. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Ooh.
Polarizing question.
That is a polarizing question.
Technically, yes, because it is between two pieces that have carbohydrates.
Oh.
Wait, say that again a little bit louder so the crowd
Explain
can hear
it to
you.
me like I'm a 5-year-old.
It has carbohydrates and protein.
Carbohydrates and protein. That's what constitutes a sandwich?
Do you guys
Okay,
agree?
all right.
Is a hot dog a sandwich? What does the audience think?
Who here would say, by raising your hands, who here would say that a hot dog is a sandwich? Ooh, it is a minority
Wow.
opinion here. So who would say a hot dog is 100% not a sandwich?
I mean,
Oh, much
come
more.
on.
Much more. I don't know, man. I think I might agree with Lucas here. Maybe not on the criteria, because I feel like protein and carbohydrates are in basically like all food, right? Like most foods. But I mean, if a sandwich is meat between pieces of bread, if you constitute a hot dog as meat, I know, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So it's disgusting, but. I mean, it's meat between two pieces of bread. What else constitutes a sandwich?
I don't know. I'm just not sold because if I'm honest, like it's the fact that the hot dog bun, it's one piece, it's one thing.
Listen,
now you could rip
I don't know
it.
what fantasy world you're living in. I've never had a hot dog where that bun doesn't rip apart partway through eating.
No,
Am I right, Lucas? Am I right? Yep. I'm just saying,
Yep.
they never stay together.
I
That's
don't-
what needs to be invented, a hot dog bun that won't fall apart.
Well, Lucas, for our first guest, you've drawn quite a polarizing opinion, but you seem to be relatively unfazed
Yep.
I have a
He
follow-up.
owns it.
I have a follow-up question though for you, Lucas, and this might be a totally new category here. If you believe that a hot dog is a sandwich, I think the appropriate follow-up question is then is every sandwich technically a hot dog?
No.
No. So tell me why you would say no to that. Because if a hot dog is a sandwich, can a sandwich be a hot dog? Or is there no such thing as a hot dog?
There are multiple types of sandwiches.
Ooh, multiple types of sandwiches.
Yeah, because like peanut butter and jelly, not meat, but still a sandwich. One would say the king.
That's
of
true.
sandwiches.
You're right.
I would be willing to compromise, and I would say that a hot dog is a hoagie.
A hoagie?
Yeah.
What is happening?
We're just making it for television format. I would say that a hot dog is like a hoagie. Oh, it's going all the way up there. Well, Lucas, thank you so much for a polarizing first opinion, but
I will say this, Lucas, you feel like very confident about this. I can see it all over you. So if you guys think you can change Lucas's mind after the service, I would encourage you go up and have this debate with him. I feel like he is very unfazed
he
about
welcomes it.
this. He's like, come at me. Well, thank you so much,
so
Lucas.
much,
Give a
Lucas.
big round of applause for Lucas. Thank you
Awesome.
for that. That was awesome. I was kind of hoping you'd be more open to the idea of all sandwiches being hot dogs, because I just like the idea of rolling and be like, I'll have a turkey hot dog with bacon and avocado.
Can I get a peanut butter and jelly hot
peanut
dog?
butter and jelly hot dog, please.
What would that look like?
I just feel like that'd be a great world to live in.
I want you to try it and see if anybody
Okay,
gets it.
I'll do my best. I'll
for
do
my
best.
next guest, I need to invite my friend. I just became friends with this person a few weeks ago. Could I get Molly Kendrick up here on the stage to join
Molly,
us?
come on up.
Molly,
Give her a
friend
round
of the
applause.
show. Friend of the show. I figured she would bring an energy that has been unmatched so far. Molly, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
Fantastic.
I've got a very important question for you. Molly, if you were transported 400 years in the past, how would you prove you were from the future?
Probably with like a piece of technology. Like I don't go anywhere without my phone. And I'm
Okay.
assuming 400 years in the future, like phones are going to be more advanced. So
Okay.
bring
What
an
if...
old phone.
They might burn you at the stake if you pulled out a
they
phone.
might
right?
think you're a witch. What if you were transported but you had like period appropriate clothing and like nothing? How would you convince them with your words?
I'm not sure.
Not sure. Kyle, any thoughts on how you
So,
would do this?
so I actually, I'll be honest. I saw this question, and so I've had a little bit of time to think about it. So I know that's kind of cheating, but so I think we determined like that would be like the 1600s,
Yes,
right?
1621.
So like is the Revolutionary War happening then? When is that?
No.
When is that? When is this?
No.
17 something? 18 something?
America has just started to become colonized.
Okay, that's what it was. That's what we were talking about. I'm not a history major. Get off my back. Okay, it's been years since I've been to high school.
Yeah,
So-
we're
so-
TV hosts, not historians.
Yeah, exactly. We're here to entertain, not speak factual truth. Okay.
Amen. Just like
So
every other.
if I got transported back to like colonizing the United States, you could just throw out like an upcoming event. You know, be like, this is gonna I don't know. You're gonna discover this town in like a month or whatever, or we're gonna meet this people group pretty soon. And then when it would happen, they'd be like, oh, that guy must know something.
I
Something that's documented in history.
Molly, do you know what's going to happen in what happens in 1621?
No, I don't.
I don't. What could I tell them? Like if right now I transported.
What do you think you could tell them?
I would also ask like where am I transported to? Because if I'm at this spot, like there's nothing here.
I don't know
Like-
who's hanging out in the 1600s in the Central Valley. I don't have a good grasp on that.
Right, and maybe honestly, maybe I don't need to prove anything. Maybe I just get to live
Stupid.
out the rest of my days. Right?
I actually think Molly's answer was the best one. That
Yeah,
if you have a
Mo-
cell phone, man, just take that thing and blow their minds, right?
Molly, let
Right?
me ask you as a follow-up question, how would you use your knowledge and technology? Would you be like a ruler?
Probably not.
Oh, okay.
She just roll and be like, look, it's this thing called TikTok. It's going to be huge. All right, see you guys later.
Yeah, I'd want to come back here as soon as I can.
You see Sacagawea, she's like doing TikTok
Oh my
dances.
gosh. So dumb. So dumb.
Well, yeah, Sacagawea is not around there. Anyways, Molly, thank you so much for your insight on This is a very niche topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your grounded answer, Molly.
Yeah,
and a very ungrounded
I love that our
subject matter.
guests, thank you so much, Molly. I love that our guests are so far straight and to the point.
Yeah, they know what they want and they know what they believe.
Is it a sandwich? No. I would show them my phone and you know
That's
what?
good. You guys know what you need to do. That's great.
They make me feel dumber because we spent like 20 minutes talking about this.
All right, next guest. Let's keep going.
My next guest is Ethan Richmond. Ethan, can I welcome you up to the stage?
We are pulling him from the sound booth.
Pulling from our tech
So
booth.
maybe the screen will stay where it's supposed to stay.
No, Ethan's the one who's keeping the screen there. Ethan, for your question, let's turn to the board. He's not there to put it on the screen. If you had to eat only one item for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Peach fruit cups.
Dirt?
Wait,
Did you
wait.
just yell dirt?
Hang on. Ethan's our guest.
Peach fruit cups.
Peach fruit cups. That is so specific.
Why peach fruit cups?
Because they're good.
You
get like peach juice to drink with it. It's like a whole meal.
It's
A whole meal?
It's a whole meal.
Well,
it's peaches.
maybe not a whole meal, but
Why peaches and not some other fruit?
because mandarin orange cups, they're not good.
That's true. In the world of fruit cups, peaches are like top notch. Am I right? I mean, who wants to eat like pineapple fruit cup or like that mixed fruit stuff? Ugh.
Yeah,
it's the
that
worst.
doesn't work. I will give you this, Ethan. Peaches are the best cupped fruit. I would say that.
Once again, I'm just impressed with our interviewees here because it's not like Ethan came up and said, "I'll have peaches." He's like, "No, peach fruit cups." No deviation from that, just peach fruit cups.
You don't have like I enjoy that. Kyle, real quick, what would you pick for the rest of the year?
Oh man, I don't know. If it had to be one item, which would include like beverage, I'm assuming.
I'd say you could have water, like.
Okay, it'd be coffee, like for sure. Like I do love coffee.
Kyle, you're gonna die.
Well,
you need to eat.
Not if you just teach your body to be strong. Okay,
That's not how the human body works.
We just teach our bodies to be weak with food and hydration.
That's definitely not how it works,
prove
Kyle.
it. You can't prove that.
I think that you will legitimately die if you only
if
had
I
coffee.
had one item and that was it, I really would prefer coffee.
Came
Paul,
for-
what would yours be? Chicken, rice, vegetables, something like that?
If I could have one item, I would make my own smoothie with the perfect nutrients, and then I would eat.
All right.
That's lame.
Love
or
it.
peach fruit cups.
Peach fruit cups. Give it up for Ethan. Good job, man.
I will say this: we had one final guest.
We have one final guest,
but she seems to really not want to do this, and we're already running out of time. So unless you really want to be up here, you can get a pass for the night. Unless you want to run up here.
Are you
going
to say her name? Or?
I didn't want to call them out because
all right.
if they don't want to, then they don't get ostracized. So
all right. Here's your chance. If you want to do this, whoever you are, mystery guest, run up here in
guest.
3, 2, 1. Yeah!
Oh, wow!
Love
She
it!
actually did!
Love it! Kendall!
I was looking at the time. I was not expecting you to want. You seem so apprehensive. Kendall, for our final question, real quick. How many 5-year-olds do you think you could take in a fight?
I love that this is your question.
You got a group of 5-year-olds coming. How many are you taking out?
70? Someone is very confident back there.
I mean, I guess it depends on the kid because
It's good. That's a good thought.
if it's
Kyle, how old's your son?
My son is he 6 or 7 now, Megan? He's 7 now.
Oh, how old's Vita?
Get off my back. I have 5 of them. It's difficult.
Okay, let's say how many of Judah's could you fight?
Judah's hardcore, man.
He's a strong kid.
maybe like 8.
8.
That's a solid. Yeah, that's a solid.
That's a solid number.
That's a solid
and
answer.
Kids are smart. They're vicious. If they work together, they could take me out easily.
Yeah.
They can, but you do. I mean, they are children. So
I'm 22, so I think if 5-5-year-olds were to fight me, that equals one 25-year-old.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So Kyle, it would take like 12 5-year-olds to take you down.
I think I could fend off a baker's dozen.
I would like to see
5-year-olds.
you fight some children.
All right.
I want to see Kendall fight some children.
I can't picture a world where Kendall fights children, but I would be rooting for you, Kendall. I think you could make it happen. Can I
Kendall,
go
thank you so
berserker
much
mode?
for mustering the courage to come up here.
Give it up.
against
She
all-
didn't have to
thank you
do
so
this,
much.
but she chose to. Good job,
Thank you.
Kendall.
Thank you so much for joining us for the 5-Minute Connect show. Band, you can. I know I've taken over your space. While the band comes up here, I'd like to invite my friend Abby Ulrichsen to the stage. She's going to share with us a little bit about what God's been showing her and what God's been teaching her. So I know that you guys are getting a little rowdy, so if you could just give us some respect. I know, I'm waiting for her to come up here. Thank you so much, guys. Oh.
I did not trust myself to hop up, so stairs are good. Oh, man. How are you guys doing? You want to stand up? Get ready for worship? Guess I'll stand up closer. All right. So worship is one of my favorite things because it creates a personal connection between you and God. Personally, I've been going through a time of confusion and frustration with just a lot, and I feel like I'm stuck. But worship allows me to let it all out there, and God not only hears me, but He's walking through it with me. And He can do the same to you. So we come in a lot with different attitudes and situations and what's going on in our lives, but God is the same no matter what you go through, whether you're having an awesome day or the worst day of your life or anywhere in between. God cares for you personally and wants you to come alongside Him in your hurt or your rejoicing. A verse I really like and has been super awesome for me is Psalm 55:22, which is, "Cast your burden on the Lord, and He will sustain you. He will never permit the righteous to be moved." Let's pray. Dear God, I thank you so much that we can just come before you and be honest with you and cry out to you, God. I just pray that no matter what is happening in our lives, no matter what we're going through, that you are just with us, and I thank you for that. And amen.
Yeah, give it up for Abby. That was awesome. All right, we're going to sing about how our God is faithful and how He's true to His promises. Let's sing together. Sorry, the click part is not on. And the keys are not on. Cool. So let's give it up for the night. Sound guys in the back, do you know how to help us? Sweet. Let's give it up for Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. Ryan's the best. I don't know if you guys know this, but we have a tech team of students and of staff members. Every single week they come and they help us set up. They set up all of these instruments. They do the lyrics on the screen, and they're just awesome. So if you have time to say thank you, you should say thank you because they're pretty amazing. But so while they're figuring that out, let's just take a moment in the chaos of when things don't go right and thank the Lord for His presence. Thank Him for His faithfulness to us. It's so like life for things to not go as planned and not go the way that we thought. And so let's just take a moment and thank Him for what He's doing in our lives.
For now, we're just going to play naturally with no click.
Yep.
By the way, we were wearing these things in our ears, and there's like voices and clicking things happening that you don't hear. So
Thank you for being patient with us.
Spared of that.
Yep.
God of Abraham. The God of Abraham, you're the God of covenant, of faithful promises. And time again, you have proven you do just what you say. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I will remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting same, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. Yeah. God from age to age, the earth may pass away, your word remains the same. Your history can prove there's nothing you can't do. You're faithful and true. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great is your faithfulness.
to sing a song called Grace to Grace about how Jesus came and he gave his life for us. Just let these words sing with you.
If love endured that ancient cross, how precious is my Savior's blood. The beauty of heaven wrapped in my shame. The image of love upon death's frame. If having my heart was worth the pain, what joy could you see beyond the grave? If love found my soul worth dying for, how wonderful, how glorious, my Savior's scars, victorious, my chains are gone, my debt is paid, from death to life, and grace to grace. If heaven now owns that vacant tomb, how great is the hope that lives in the passion that tore through hell like a rose, the promise that rolled back death and its stone. If freedom is worth the life you risked, who will hate it all to have a mother heart? How wonderful, how glorious, my Savior's scars, victorious, my chains are gone, my debt is paid, from death to life, and grace to When I see that cross, I see freedom. When I see that grave, I'll see Jesus. And from death to life, I will sing your praise in the wonder of your grace. When I see that cross, I see freedom. When I see that grave, I'll see Jesus. And from death to life, I will sing your praise in the wonder of your grace. When I see that cross, I see freedom. When I see that grave, I'll see Jesus. And from death to life, I will sing your praise in the wonder of your grace. When I see that cross, I see freedom. When I see that grave, I'll see Jesus. And from death to life, I will sing your praise in the wonder of your grace. How my soul will sing your praise in the wonder my Savior's scars, victorious. My chains are gone, my debt is paid. From death to life and grace to grace.
God, thank you that you are a God who gives us life. You weren't afraid to go to the cross. You weren't afraid to go to the grave for us, God. You went willingly, knowing how much it was going to cost you, because you said that we were worth it and that you love us. God, thank you so much for your sacrifice. Thank you so much for your love and for your grace towards us. Thank you that you never leave us. No matter what we're going through, you never leave us. No matter what we choose in our lives, you're only one prayer away, one conversation away, God. Thank you, Jesus, for your presence, for your peace, and for your love. I pray that we would hear from you tonight, that we would listen to what you have to say through those who are sharing tonight, and that we would walk away changed, Jesus. Thank you for you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Hey, thanks so much for worshiping with us tonight. If you are new here, one thing that we try to do is engage in community. So with that, middle schoolers, if you guys want to head upstairs, high schoolers, if you guys want to kind of take up those empty seats and come towards the front, thank you so much. We'll be with you in just a sec.
Whoa, I almost broke this stool just now. Whew, that was a close one. All right. Well, high school students, welcome once again. It's been awesome worshiping with you guys. I just want to let you know these guys have given me a really hard time for not letting them just sit in couches, but I was like, we're on the tail end of COVID. We got to at least make it look like we're trying. My
couches
goodness.
Are way better.
But, yeah, scooch, maybe just spread out just a pinch more, guys, just so we can say we tried. If you guys haven't been with us over the past several weeks, what we've been doing, we kind of took a break last week because of Vertigo Remix and getting excited about camp, but before that, we had been taking time each week to hear from students and adults who are part of this ministry and hear their story. And kind of the idea behind that, maybe if this is your first time and you haven't been with us lately, is you can hear truth, total truth, spoken from this stage from my mouth or Paul's or Shara or Megan or whoever's like preaching, Danny, whoever's preaching up here at the moment. You can hear that, but because there's like a disconnect of age and just place of life and stuff like that, you might be able to get to a point where you say, yeah, but that can't possibly be me. They don't know what it's like to be in high school right now. They don't know what it's like to be living through a pandemic as a teenager right now. They don't know. So I don't actually, I find it easy, I guess, to have doubt that what they're saying could actually be true. But when someone who's exactly like you comes and says to you, Jesus changes things. Jesus can make broken things whole again and can give me new life and new purpose and all that good stuff, it's compelling. And so we've gotten to hear from a number of different people as we've walked through that over the past several weeks. And I hope that those stories have been encouraging to your faith, maybe even challenging you a little bit that, hey, maybe I need to take this a little bit more seriously. And we decided we wanted to wrap up this series with something a little bit different. Obviously, there's not one person up here, as you can tell. This is the one of the small groups of the 12th grade boys. There's two of them. If we had everybody up here, my goodness, we definitely would be breaking COVID rules. But these guys are my small group. I get the pleasure of being their small group leader. And as I was kind of thinking and praying, what are the stories that our students need to hear? One of the words or ideas that popped into my head that was really obvious is, man, having lived through and living in, I guess, the pandemic, like the value of community has been like so incredibly like focused in on, right? We've been isolated from each other. We haven't been able to see each other necessarily, especially toward the beginning. And it can be easy to feel really, really isolated and even draw away from people who care about us. And so what's cool about these guys is somehow, some way, like they were all cool before the pandemic started, but somehow, some way, the pandemic like brought out the best in them when it came to community. Like we were a solid group, we enjoyed each other, we spent time together on Wednesdays, events, things like that. But man, when COVID hit, these guys, I don't know if it was a conscious decision or not, I'll let you guys speak to that, but it sure seemed like they decided we are going to make the most of this, and they're thriving because of it. And I think one of the big reasons is because of the value they placed in community. But not just any community with Jesus at the middle of it. I think it can be easy for us in church circles to kind of talk about community and be like, well, it's our buds, it's people we like, that we have interests that are similar and all that good stuff. But that will only get you so far. But community rooted in Jesus and what he's done for us will last, and we'll be able to overcome any of the normal tensions that come with relationships. I was thinking as we were singing that song, Ephesians chapter 2, where Paul, who wrote that book, he talks about the work that Jesus did on the cross. And as we were singing that line, when I see that cross, I see freedom. In chapter 2, it says that when Jesus died, when he accomplished that work on the cross, he tore down the walls of hostility that existed between us and him, for sure, but also between us and each other. And it just goes to show how valuable relationship, not only between us and God is to him, but how much value he has for relationship between each other. That's throughout the entire Bible, from Genesis to the very end, Revelation, you see God's care for and desire for us to have relationship with him, but also with each other. And so that's kind of going to kind of be the focal point, I guess, of our conversation up here. But before we get into that too much, you guys are sharing the mics, I know, but why don't you just introduce yourself for maybe people who don't know who you are, and maybe kind of just your relationship to CrossPoint students. I know pretty much all you guys have been around for quite a while now. Just kind of introduce yourself to everybody, and then we'll jump into what we're going to talk about.
Hello, my name is Dawson Hunt, and I have been going to CrossPoint since I was born. McKenna's story, really, I understand that, of like being here the entire time. And so I got to know these guys probably about 2 years ago. I didn't start going to CrossPoint, like actual CrossPoint students, until like 2 years ago.
So you're a part of our larger church family,
Yeah.
but more recently you're part of this youth ministry family.
Yep.
Cool.
My name's Ethan Richmond, and I've been going here since 7th grade when I moved here from Minnesota. So.
Yep. Cool. Tapia.
Hey guys, my name is Joshua Tapia. I've been coming here since I was born, basically, and I help out in the tech booth. Yep.
Yeah, all these guys, if you might not notice, maybe you wouldn't notice. If they're doing a good job, you probably won't notice. A lot of them do like the tech stuff, and they're also involved with the band and a number of different things, which is cool to see.
Hey guys, I'm Josh Corgett. I've been going here for about 6 years now, although I really only got involved in CrossPoint students 4 years ago. I used to just kind of go to the main service with my family earlier on.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
This one doesn't work. We'll move to this one. Oh, almost there.
There's no sound guy, except for Ryan. He could totally make it work. But.
Maybe look dumb. Oh, goodness. How's it going, guys? My name is Hayden Donnelly. I've been going here since 6th grade. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm on the worship team. That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
The really tall guy that's up here.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. So what we notice about these guys is they've all had time, I guess, here. Even if it's just been, I think the shortest was a couple years, right? Even though you even had connection even outside of that. And that should ring familiar to you guys, because a lot of you who are here, I know not everyone, but I know a lot of you guys, you've been coming to this church for a while. You know what a small group is. You've been at least a part of it a little bit. And I bet that there are varying degrees of enjoyment when it comes to your small group. I've been doing this long enough to know that there are people who love their small group. There are people who hate their small group. There are people who are indifferent to their small group, and everywhere in between. But one of our hopes for you guys, and I think an important piece of your relationship with Jesus, is we want to at least give you the opportunity to have a community of people who care about you, who are going to be there for you, who will challenge you, who will walk through hard stuff with you together, and ultimately push you to be more like Jesus. And it's been cool to see, by nothing I did, but just kind of watching these guys become that type of group. There are some groups, to be quite honest, when they graduate, I'm like, oh, they're done. They'll never be friends after this. And that's fine. It was for a time. But I feel like some of the groundwork these guys have laid will go beyond just the relationship they have right now. And I think it's important for them to share that because that's exactly what Jesus wants for us. Might not be your small group right now, but it will be a community at some point in your life. And so I want to hear from you guys, some of your thoughts. We talked through a few questions earlier, sent them some information. And kind of the first one is, if community is so important, if this small group is so important, what role has this group played in your guys' lives over the past, 4 years in high school, but even before that, some of you were together in middle school as well. So what kind of role has this group played? Has it been awesome, challenging, some good, some bad? Like, what role has it played in your guys' lives?
I'll go first. For me, it's really been an anchor. No matter like what's going on in my life with school or when like COVID hit and stuff, I knew that I had these guys and these guys had my back. And every Wednesday almost, I knew that I would be here and that we'd have a great community. And they've just really been an anchor in my life.
It's great. What else you guys got? What other roles has this group played in your life as you've kind of walked through your high school years?
This has definitely been like a source of accountability for me. You know, being able to share and be open with them, but then also have them hold me accountable to the goals that I set for myself. And that's really important for me because I know that I wouldn't follow up on those goals unless I had these guys.
Yeah, it's really easy for us when we're by ourselves to be like, I want to be this, right? I want to avoid this temptation, or I want to treat people this way, or I want to structure my life in this way. And if we only ever just rely on ourselves to follow through with that, you guys know what it's like. 9 times out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10, you end up failing. And that's one of the reasons God gives us people, is to keep us accountable. That's awesome. And keep us anchored, like you said, to what we want to be doing with our lives. Did you have something you were going to add into it, Hayden? I saw you grab the mic.
Did you have something to say? Okay. I see this group, more as a family than a group, and they're kind of the people I can go to in my safe place. Like, I can relate with all of them. Most of them go to my same high school, except one's homeschooled, but that's okay too. But honestly, it's a wonderful place where I can go and talk about with guys the same thing I'm probably going through at the time. So it's like they can give me a perspective. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 different perspectives than I would have on my own. So it's pretty awesome.
Josh, you have something?
Yeah, the guy talk gets interesting, by the way.
The what?
The guy talk gets interesting, by the way.
That's true.
That's
yes.
very true.
That's true.
So what I was going to say, it's really been an anchor for me, too. So a lot of the time before, like, these last 2 years, I've been oscillating a lot, like going to church and really putting my faith in God and everything, and then just not really worrying about it and going to the other end. But these guys, just seeing how they are and what they've been doing here at church and what they're trying to do with each other and create this community has really, like, put me forth to give my effort in trying to do that.
That's so cool, man. I'm so glad that you shared that, because that's something that if you are a part of a small group for really any amount of time, you'll notice, like, people come in and out. Sometimes people will be pretty invested for a little while in a group. And sometimes, for whatever reason, busyness or disinterest or whatever, then they'll be gone for a while, or maybe they'll kind of start to make decisions that aren't helpful in their relationship with Jesus, maybe. You have an opportunity as a community to come alongside. And I know these guys weren't like, Josh, idiot, get back to church. What are you doing? You know, like Josh Tapia, idiot. Other Josh isn't an idiot either, but that's not what you guys were saying. But you consistently were like, hey, man, we're here for you. Like, we'd love to see you, and as an example. And so not only does community help us, when we invest in community, real relationships with each other, honest relationships with each other, it's helpful to other people too. Because again, it proves what this whole thing is for.
And I just want to say that, you know, we didn't like have this sense of like family with each other right off the bat. Like, I remember it took almost, 2 years for us to really get close to each other. And before that, all of these like traits and such, for me, they didn't exist. I didn't feel like this was a source of accountability. I didn't feel like this was like my family. It took effort, and it took investment in order to get to where we are now.
And any relationship is like that, guys. Any relationship is like that. It takes time, it takes effort, but it's worth it. It's worth it. What were you going to say, Dawson?
It's fine.
What's your joke? I think we need to hear it.
would you say that 2 years, about the same time I came around?
Oh,
decided-
ouch. Okay.
Wow. It was actually at Vertigo, and I don't think you've been to a Vertigo,
Oh, you're
Dawson.
going to bring that up?
It's all right. He has one last chance to go to Vertigo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. All right. Very cool. And so what we've been able to see kind of from these guys' responses is that, certainly not every small group is the same and at the same level, and they all look different because they're made up of individual, unique people. But there are some character traits sometimes that can exist in every community that can make it helpful. And that's kind of my next question to you guys. And maybe there's some overlap in answers, but what would you say are some of like the dynamics that exist here in this group that actually help you grow and want to be a part of it? There's roles that it plays, but there's also just like, for lack of a better term, like the vibe, of the group. Like what are those dynamics that exist that make it a place you want to invest in?
One of the dynamics that I really like here is that we're really open with each other, and we can talk about almost anything and just really be like, hey, I need help with this, and this is really bringing me down. Could you help me with this? And then they'll be like, hey, we'll pray for you. Heck yeah. And then, yeah.
Absolutely. What's one of the biggest things that Christians get saddled with, sometimes for good reason, that we're judgmental, right? Like, you hear that a ton. If you talk to people, I don't know if I want to go there because they're judgmental or whatever. If you kind of pursue that dynamic of, man, you can be honest here, and there won't be judgment. There might be pointing us to what's true if we're not living in it, but there's not this, like, condemnation, because that's not how Jesus did things. Instead, we're going to come around you. And I think if we as a student ministry really committed to people can be honest here, we're not going to freak out, we're not going to act shocked, we're going to care for them, man, how many more people who've walked in these doors and then left after one night because they felt some kind of judgment or condemnation from us would stick around and ultimately get to know Jesus. I think that's a huge, huge thing, even bigger than we realize.
Yeah, for sure. I know that some other places I've been in life, I've been in like a small group and such, and it just felt like shame existed in those groups. And that is so destructive to having a community like this, because we're all humans, we all make mistakes, we're all sort of in the same boat here, and we just need to throw shame out the window. There's no judgment in this group, and I think that's a really important step into building a community.
And what's cool is that doesn't mean truth isn't talked about. It doesn't mean that people aren't challenged pretty aggressively sometimes to align their life with Jesus, but it does mean that there's not, that a tactic in that is not shame. And so you don't have to have one or the other. Sometimes I think we as Christians, like, well, if we're going to have friends here, then we can't ever call them out on anything. Or, well, we have to tell them, like, what's true, and if they get their feelings hurt, that's on them. There's a different way that Jesus embodied that doesn't fall into either of those extremes, I think. Were there any other dynamics of the group that you guys can really think to or point to that make it a helpful place for you to grow?
For me, one of them is how flexible you guys are. How some of the nights it's just we're there for fun, like we just talk about things that have been happening in our life, get sidetracked, and then other nights we're talking about something that's really serious to us. It's something that is really affecting our lives, and just how flexible you guys are, how the tone can shift almost instantly, but just how flexible we are and how we're able to go to those different topics and instances.
Because that's what a relationship is, right? I so hope that you guys don't feel like this is like school 2.0, where you're like, I go to school all day, whether online or in person, or this weird hybrid thing you guys are doing now. And you're like, I hate all this, definitely. And then you come here and you sit and you're like, well, I hate this too. Like, man, I so hope that that's not the experience that you're having. And I think that when we have community and relationship with each other, it breaks down so much of that, because those are people we want to be with because we know that they care about us, for sure.
I just thought of one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being able to forgive each other, like that is such a hard thing nowadays. And I don't know about you guys, but I like to hold grudges. But like being able to forgive each other, because at one point or another, we've all, messed with each other and hurt each other's feelings. And just being able to forgive each other. Like, Hayden and I was
going to tell it if you guys weren't going so go for it.
We got in this huge fight just a couple of weeks ago, and, it felt strange, but I was really glad I did it. It was pretty much my fault. And I came and I forgave him, and he accepted that. And that it made me feel very close to everybody.
It wasn't just his fault. I had a role to play in it too. And And it was a really difficult thing because when you feel like when you have a fight with someone, like, oh, well, I'm going to come back to small group. Are we going to be healed? Are they going to hate me because they take his side? Or are they going to hate him because they take my side? So it's a really scary thing to go into. But honestly, if it's your friend, don't let that type of stuff get in the way. It just, yeah.
Honestly, you mentioned a really big thing, not taking sides. You know, we're a collective here. We're a group. We're here to support each other, not to form boundaries, and well, healthy boundaries, but not to form lines in the sand and to, just, fight each other and such.
Mm-hmm. It was really, guys, it was very interesting I just kind of sat back that night while these two kind of had a pretty intense argument, or disagreement anyway, and but they were hashing through it, and it was really cool because I don't think I've been in a spot like that with students before where I'm like, I don't think I need to say a single thing here. I can just watch this unfold because I know that what they want is this unity. And I mean, man, you guys are smart. Like, look around at the world. Like, people just are incapable of forgiving and finding unity on things. It feels like people are incapable of it. How cool would it be for a generation of teenagers who are submitted to Jesus decide, like, we are going to forgive and we are going to find unity and we are going to work hard at that. Man, that is a huge testament to a world who really struggles with that. So, and that happens in the confines of community, definitely. So, like I said before, like, these relationships that you guys have, as deep and as kind of cool as they are, they're not just for the sake of relationship, right? They're for the sake of knowing Jesus and knowing him more and more. And so maybe if you guys have some examples, how has your relationship with each other actually affected your relationship with Jesus as you've walked through this? Ethan, you go first.
All right. So one of the major things for me, how it's impacted my life with Jesus, is after like the message and stuff, I tend not to really want to talk about God a lot, but Dawson, he's really good at helping us get on track and talk about Jesus, and he's always really good with questions, and it's always helpful for me.
Yeah, it's just a perfect example of like where I have gaps in my maybe desire or just understanding or whatever. When we have other people in the mix with us, they cover over those gaps. And if we're not looking for that, then we're just kind of stuck not moving forward. That's huge. That's awesome. Hayden?
I'm going to go to Dawson, too. Dawson has helped. Well, the other day, like a month ago, he texted me and said, hey, you want to go do a prayer thing with me? And I was like, of course. What time is it? And it's 6:30 in the morning to 7:30. And it's honestly just one of the best places to really pray. And I struggle with praying a lot. Like, it's just, I don't know. I feel weird just taking time to close my eyes and talk, even though it's a really important thing. So that opportunity of an hour has helped my just like process of thinking, going out with my day, what's God telling me. And honestly, I wouldn't have went if Dawson didn't text me and say, hey, you're going to come with me? And I'm like, of course. So it's pretty darn awesome.
It's awesome. It's way less scary to step into things that would be scary when you have someone with you, right? Sharing about Jesus, inviting people here, going to stuff like that.
And like you also mentioned, a really important aspect of that is, they didn't take a month to plan this little thing. Straight up, Dawson just texted him and say, hey, you want to go? And just being open and available like that is really important for building that community. Because if you're all restricted and held back from hanging out with these people, you really don't get that far.
For sure. Did any of the other guys have any thoughts on why your relationships with each other make such an impact on your relationship with God?
This is basically just continuing off of what you guys have been saying, but like actually going to events and looking for things like prayer and just honestly getting me up and out of the house right now during quarantine to go to events is really the thing.
Yeah. Absolutely awesome. So it's the kind of the themes I hear this boil down to. It's the idea of accountability. It's the idea of encouragement. It's the idea of even challenging each other to press in deeper, which we know that you guys have the desire for. Sometimes we just need a little kick in the butt to do, right?
And also, it's just a healthy social group to some extent. I know a lot of social groups can be very destructive on your spirit and everything. And all of these people, we all love Jesus, and we definitely just point each other towards him when we're doing anything. And that's really helpful for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll just take the moment to say this. I know, like, we're not dumb. Like, we kind of know that the situation that happens is the people you hang out with here are the people you hang out with here. And then vast majority of us, when we go to school or when we go to a job or we go to life, it is like a completely different set of people. And I'm not saying that you only need to hang out with the people in your small group. That actually would be really detrimental to you, I think. But if your like closest relationships, your closest people are people who don't care about Jesus, don't love Jesus, aren't pushing you to be more like Jesus, you shouldn't be surprised when you end up not looking like him very much. And it's always been really sad to me, and I get the temptation, but it's always really sad when people are like, we have this awesome group, say an example up here, but then as soon as we hit those doors, like we never, ever interact. It's scary, it's hard, it requires intentionality, but how much better to have a group of people who are all on the same page and pushing us forward than 15 different sets of people, and only one of them does that. I just think it's something to consider as we kind of structure our lives, for sure.
Well, freshman and sophomore year of trying to find myself in high school, hung out with I guess you could say, not the best people to hang out with in high school. And so that was kind of a rough life. Like I was cussing. I don't really like cussing, as my mom says. What you say is showing people what's in your heart. And so my junior year, I really took that personal, and I struggle with it here and there, but really being able to hang out with people, like ever since people started driving, even though I can't drive, like Ben can drive, we started hanging out more. They can drive, we started hanging out more. So it started giving me of knowing what good friends should be like. And then they can tell me to cut the crap when I'm saying something that I shouldn't, or I'm acting the way I shouldn't. And it makes you feel really good at the end of the day.
It's awesome.
Honestly, the cut the crap aspect. I think everyone in our group has had one of the Ethan talks, right? Yeah. You know, Ethan, he's really good at just being super straightforward and just telling you to cut the crap. And he doesn't do it in a judgmental or a shameful way. He just cut the crap. And that's really helpful sometimes, because sometimes we get so wrapped up in our emotions and we're so attached to our feelings that it's hard to let go of them. And Ethan's really good at just saying, dude, shut up.
It is pretty funny, guys. Like, he is very quiet. I don't know if you noticed this. He's not like the most like extroverted person, but every now and then they'll roll into small group and be like, you shouldn't do that anymore. Like, you just really shouldn't act like that. So maybe something, a takeaway from today, find a cut the crap person in your small group who's just that person who can gently and in a godly way just kind of be like, guys, cut the crap. Like, you just don't got to be like that. We can be better than this. That'd be a great takeaway, I think. Did you have something you want to say, Ethan?
It's just like you.
It's just what?
Just like you. Cut the crap.
Yeah. Well, you're better at it than me, for sure. We are kind of nearing our end here. There's a ton more we could talk about. And honestly, guys, I would encourage you. These guys have like 8 weeks left, and then they're gone, which...
Don't remind
Sorry,
me.
guys. Sorry. But they've invested a ton in this group, and maybe there's something that if you're a freshman, sophomore, even junior, that you could learn from maybe them or the other guys' senior small group, which has also done a great job of this, and the girls have also like super rallied, especially like in the last month. Like, they're really investing in each other, and it's really cool to see. Take advantage of that and apply it to your group, and I would really encourage you to do that. But I did kind of have like one last question to ask you guys, and I would love to hear an answer from each of you, actually, is if you could say one thing to CrossPoint students, to everyone out here, about the importance of community in your spiritual growth to Jesus, what would it be? If you're like, this is the last thing I could say about this to CrossPoint students, this is the thing they need to hear, that it's just going to burn me up inside if I don't get it out, what would you say to the group that's here watching?
I'd say you be the first one to start. If your small group isn't really talking about God or really isn't having that accountability, you start. You never know if they really want to do it, but they just like, hey, no one else is being accountable. No one else is really talking about Jesus. You be the one to start. You be the one to get the train moving.
Mm-hmm. And I would add to that you might be surprised how many people in the group actually do want that. We all know sometimes it's easy for like one person to derail the group, or maybe nobody's like willing to kind of step up and say, hey, why don't we hang out outside of this, or why don't we talk about this instead? Sometimes one person is willing, everyone's like, oh, good, because I wanted to do that too. Let's go for it. I had that question, or I want to walk through these doubts I have. Sometimes it just takes one.
I would probably say open up.
Open up.
Because I feel like that's very important, and if you don't do that, it's really hard to grow closer to the people around you.
Absolutely. And I've seen that in every single one of them as they've walked through these 4 years. I've seen it be fairly closed off, and as time has gone and relationship has grown, the willingness to open up. But it's always difficult the first time, always. So be ready for it. Be willing to risk it, because it can turn out to be a pretty beautiful thing.
Be intentional. That is so important. Like what Dawson was saying, just put yourself out there and try starting to build, that community that you want. Like for us, I think we really started hanging out, ironically, at the beginning of COVID, and it was.
Shh! Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anybody, please. We don't want to get in trouble, but. It was awkward at first. We went on a lot of bike rides, and we used to organize them. But we ended up growing to the point where we can just shoot one of them a text and we're hanging out. And that's so important, just being able to build to that area. And honestly, that goes for everything in this small group. It's awkward at first, but then it just comes naturally. And it's so relieving to have it come naturally.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Growing is not comfortable, or community is not. Well, yeah, growing is not comfortable.
Both
it's
those
both.
things are true.
Like as we said at the beginning, it took us like 2 full years to actually be comfortable with each other, and that's part of the reason because we were closed off at times because we didn't want to be uncomfortable. So you're not going to go anywhere if you're in your comfort zone necessarily. Like push yourself to make progress. Just like working out, you're not going to be comfortable working at. No, like I know much about that, but you have to push yourself.
I know a lot about that. Don't worry.
Okay. You have to push yourself to make progress and get muscle. It's not going to be, I'm going to wake up and get buff. So same thing with community and same thing with your group.
Yeah, absolutely. If you think that any relationship, dating relationship, marriage relationship with Jesus, relationship with each other, if you think one day you're just going to wake up and be like, I am the closest I have ever been to that person, interesting, you are kidding yourself. It takes a lot of work, but it's worthwhile work for sure. Josh?
Yeah, I'll just end off by saying, kind of basically what all of you guys were saying, and staying open-minded with this, being ready to open up to your group, and then also really a big thing I would say is trying to stay connected and, talk to each other a lot, because I've been in groups before that, we'll start going, but then slowly it'll diminish down and we'll stop talking to each other because we have, life going on. So just sending out things like a text and then, asking, hey, how's your day going, and all that, it can really be the biggest factor.
Absolutely. And I would say one of the silver linings, or one of maybe the catalysts that COVID has put in front of us, is it stopped everyone's life in their tracks, right? And so all the excuses we had that we weren't investing in relationships with each other were gone. Like we didn't have sports or school or activities or all this stuff. And we just had to stare our own laziness in the face and be like, I just don't want to put in the effort. And what we've seen in a group like this, and I know in a lot of your guys' lives, you took the opportunity to make the most of it. This big pause button that's been hit will not last forever. And I would say it's on its way out. And I think it could be really easy for all of us to just slip right back into the busyness rather than be intentional and say, I will not lose this. It's been really cool to watch you guys grow in that. And I think it serves as a really awesome testimony to everyone watching here that can be them too. And I want you to hear that, guys. That can be you too. Maybe better than these guys if you invest and do it early on and do the work and grow in that relationship together. Would you just give a big round of applause to these guys? I know that being on stage isn't necessarily a lot of their wheelhouse, but they did an awesome job communicating that. I would really encourage you guys, talk to them afterwards. I know they'd be really happy to. There was a ton of stuff we just couldn't get through today that could be really helpful for you guys. And I'll just end by saying this. I've never had a student once come up to me and say, the reason that I keep coming to CrossPoint students is because you're an amazing speaker. Never happened. I've never had a person come up to me and say, the reason I come to CrossPoint students is because the band is amazing. It's never happened. I've never had a student be like, the only reason I come to CrossPoint students is the hilarious bits that you guys do, or the games, quote, quote, or the events or whatever. Almost exclusively what I hear, if they're not coming for Jesus and they're just trying to figure this thing out, almost exclusively what I hear is, I come here because these people are different and I know that I'm cared for here. It's the relationships. It's the community. And so if that's what people are craving so much, For those of us who know Jesus, let's make sure that we are doing that really, really well. And I think we'll see some pretty cool things happen if we do. Let me pray for us, and then we'll let you guys go to your small group, and you can kind of talk through some stuff, maybe set some plans, figure out ways that you're going to invest together as you continue to grow in your relationships. Jesus, we love you. We thank you. Lord, we thank you that to follow you actually has this like beautiful, rich community aspect, that we are meant to enjoy life as individuals, but we're meant to enjoy life together. That you use other people to make us more like you. Sometimes that's really joyful, and sometimes that's really painful, but it's always really worth it. And God, I just pray for each and every one of these small groups represented in the room tonight. God, I don't know what people's opinions of their small groups are, but whatever it is, God, I pray that you would show them just how beautiful this environment can be when people who love you care for each other the way that you care for us. And God, I pray that that would be an incredible example to the world who's watching. We love you. We thank you for tonight in your awesome name. Amen. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. Next week, we're starting a new series, so be sure to come back for that. And if you want to join us for Easter, it's this weekend, Good Friday and Sunday. You can head to your small groups. We'll see you back here next week. Bye, guys.